Jen and I arrived in Alaska in early January 1970. And my net take-home pay was $148 per month. On the 15th of the month, I got a check for $74, and I got another check for $74 at the end of the month. And at that time, the least expensive place that you could live was on Government Hill in a place that's since been torn down called Hollywood Vista. And the cheapest one-bedroom apartment in Hollywood Vista was $154 per month. So I was $6 shy of even meeting my rent with my entire paycheck. Now, the federal government, in its infinite wisdom, did have it set up so Ann got an allotment out of my pay. It would so the young service member couldn't go out and blow it all and not have any for his spouse. She got a check for $60. So rob $6 from that to pay the rent. That left us $54 for food, gas, my uniform, everything else that we needed. Ann was great with child at the time, and no one would hire her. I was very resentful. I was a college graduate. I had a great job offer in a school district that I really, really liked, with a principal that I really got along well with. And then I was drafted. And I ended up in Alaska with nothing. But things changed in 4 years. Change is part of life. I'm going to read a paragraph from our textbook, The Science of Mind. Nature will not let us stay in any one place too long. She will let us stay just long enough to gather the experience necessary to the unfolding and an advancement of the soul. This is a wise provision, for should we stay here too long, we would become too set, too rigid, too inflexible. Nature demands the change in order that we may advance. When the change comes, we should welcome it with a smile on the lips and a song in the heart. Our center is today experiencing a change, a big change, probably the biggest change since Reverend Marquita and Susan left at the same time, and that is Jenna moving on. And I know she doesn't want me to make a big deal about this because I kind of share her avoidance of the spotlight. But I would be less if I didn't express my sincere appreciation, Jenna, for all that you have done for our center and for me. The times are countless when my sermon maybe was a little less than it could be, and the music carried the day. And I am just so grateful, and there is a smile on my lips and a song in my heart because I know that you will be available to us from time to time. Maybe special music here and there, who knows? But thank you so much, Jenna. We have a card. Thank you. The title of my talk today is In the Flow. My 3 points, I'm going to talk about the law of circulation, and I'm going to talk about a consciousness of abundance, and finally I'm going to talk about the prosperous flow. The law of circulation, straight from our song. It's amazing how Jenna knows. She just knows. I mean, that wasn't in the little blurb I put out or anything else, but Luke, the gospel according to Luke, says, and there are various translations, but give and it will be given to you. Good measure, shaken down and running over, for they will pour into your robe. For the measure that you measure, it will be measured unto you. And what that's saying is that what we put forth into the universe is what comes back to us. Give, and it will be given to you. How you treat other people is how you're going to be treated. What you put out is what comes back to you. For the measure that you measure, it will be measured unto you. Back then they used to carry grain in their robes, and that's the whole piece about shaken down. You shake it down and the grain will settle. You know, on your cereal box it says this is measured by weight, not volume, because the flakes have settled, or something like that, I don't know. And they pressed it down, and they came heaping over, and that was the measure. And if that's the way you measure, then that's how it's going to be measured back to you. In the flow. Our universe, the entire universe is based on circulation. Our planet Earth circulates around the sun. All of the planets circulate around the sun. The sun circulates around the Milky Way, the galaxy that we're in. Our galaxy is a spiral galaxy, and everything circles around it. And our universe, even though it is expanding, it is circulating. Blood circulates through our body. Our heart receives it, it pumps it back out, and it works in the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide. We bring in oxygen, and we exhale carbon dioxide. The plants on the earth absorb the carbon dioxide, and what do they put out? Oxygen. And that's why it's so foolish for us to be burning down the tropical rainforest. They're known as the lungs of the planet, because they're the ones that are pumping all this oxygen back in. So maybe we ought to start taking care of our lungs. A person's vitality is determined by their degree of circulation. And even that most precious of all commodities, water, falls out of the sky. It was beautiful yesterday. Took Joy out for a walk in the rain, and this wonderful water falls down on us, and it runs into little streams, and the streams gather together and they flow into the ocean, and the ocean heats with the activity of the sun and evaporates, and we had clouds gather the rain, and it comes back and rains on us again. The law of circulation. Everything in the universe circulates, and we can step into that. Point number 2 is a consciousness of abundance. And there are a milk stool of points to support that, A, B, and C. First of all, A is a consciousness of God. Everything that we do, our treatments, everything that we do, we begin by recognizing the infinite presence of the divine. God in, around, and through all that is. And when we do that, we can ground ourselves in the awareness that God is with us and not against us. It is for us. That infinite presence is part of who we are. We are here to reveal the glory of the divine and to multiply it and expand it. We're here to reveal the glory of the divine. That's our task here. But we have bought into a sense of separation. And it's demonstrated by insecurity and fear. I've told this before, but in my garage, and I've kept it just as a reminder, I have more than one old-fashioned tin Folgers coffee can full of old, bent, rusty nails. My parents were a product of the Depression. They were in their teens and early adulthood through the Great Depression. And they didn't have a whole lot of nails. And so you saved nails, even the old bent rusty ones. You might be able to straighten out and using it someday. And when you build out in the middle of nowhere, there isn't a hardware store to run to. So you save all of everything. So I'm saving all these nails. Now, where does that consciousness come from? It comes from a belief that everything is finite. There are only a finite number of nails. You know, there are a lot of nails in the world. I can release those coffee cans of nails to a greater expression. You know, they could go somewhere and mix it concrete. There's a lot of use for those old nails. But I hang on to them because someday I might need one. Today, I save them not because I think I might need one, but it's a constant reminder that in the back, there's not enough. You better save it. Waste not, want not. My mother taught me that, waste not, want not. B is a consciousness of worthiness. Now, I have given enough sermons up here over the last over 10 years on our sense of worth, how we value ourselves, and how sometimes we have this sense that we are not good enough. And I thought about the ways that I could tackle that today, that it'd be compact and really get the message across in a short time. And I came up with the idea of Marianne Williamson's poem, Our Deepest Fear. But to help me do that, I've asked Stevie to come up and read Marianne Williamson's poem.
Stevie. Good morning.
Good morning.
Our deepest fear. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine, as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within all of us. It is not just in some of us, it is in everyone. As we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically will liberate others. Thank you.
Your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. The third leg of the milk stool of consciousness of abundance is a consciousness of possibility. Attitude is all important. In those early years when I was filled with that resentment at having to be here, yes, I truly fell in love with Alaska. I love the outdoors, the scenery, the mountains, the snow, the glaciers, fishing. But there was something more. I could have spent 4 years here and, wow, great place to visit, great place to spend 4 years, and go back to the lower 48 and, wow, I'm glad that I did that. But I didn't, because there was something bigger and more there. One day, I don't know, I'd been here a couple years at that point, I think. And even though I grew up in Colorado and I knew how to drive on ice and snow, I made a rookie mistake and I kind of went off the road a little bit, and I really wasn't all that stuck. I wasn't way down in the ditch diver thing, but I was enough where I knew that if I gave it the gas, I'd spin my tires and then I would be stuck. So I got out, and what do I do now? And I'm thinking, they didn't have cell phones then. Who am I going to call? I could walk over to that Grab and Go, I think it was called, on Tudor, the little quick stop. They had a pay phone out there. I could have called somebody on base and had them come out. And I was sitting there looking at my situation, trying to decide what to do. Like the first car came by and stopped. And a gentleman got out and he says, oh, it looks like you need a hand there. I said, well, yeah, I could. And he said, yeah, I think we can do this. And he and I came around and started to push it out. And before we even really got going, 2 more people stopped, pushed me out of the ditch, and off I was going. I thought, well, that was awesome. That happened over and over. And I came to realize that that's part of the culture of Alaska. I don't feel it as much today, but maybe it's just because we've grown and we're not quite the same. But this idea that we're all here together, that this isn't the most friendly environment on the planet. You don't walk around in your shorts until October all the time. But there was something about this. And one day I had an experience and I was able to help somebody else out. And what had occurred to me is that we do indeed live in this reciprocal universe. Somebody stopped and helped me, and I was able at another time to help someone else. And when that is, it feeds on itself and it creates something magnificent when we're able to help one another. Attitude is all important. And it was through that experience that I was able to shift my attitude about Alaska and being there. Story of a woman that was going to Rome, and she had saved up her whole life and she was excited about being able to go to Rome, and she was getting ready to go. She went to her hairdresser to get all dressed up, looking good and everything, and she proudly told her hairdresser she was going to Rome, and her hairdresser says, oh man, of all the places to go, I wouldn't want to go there. Why not? He says, well, it's dirty and hot, the people are all rushing and no time, they're rude and whatnot. I wouldn't want to go to Rome. Oh. She said, well, but I got this great deal. We're on American Airlines. It's got a great... American Airlines, he said? They're horrible, he says. The only thing older than their planes are their pilots. He said, terrible. You know what? The stewardess and stuff, they're all rude and surly. You don't want to fly with them. So he's doing her hair. He says, well, what are you going to do when you're there? Where are you going to stay? And she said, well, we got this great deal. I was able to find this thing. It's called the Terrazito. Oh, the Terrazito, that is a dump. You do not want to stay there. The pictures they show, not what it's like at all. It's horrible. Well, what are you going to do while you're there? Well, we're going to hopefully go to the Vatican. We wanted to go to the Vatican and maybe we could even get to see the Pope. Oh, you're never going to get to see the Pope. And if you do, he's going to be this little bitty guy about 2 football fields away up on a balcony. Yeah, that's a waste. Well, she thought about that and she says, I can either buy into all this or I can shift my attitude. Yes. And by gosh, we're going to go into this with an excitement, and no matter what happens, it's going to be good. So she went, and she started off, she got on the plane. Come to find out, it was part of American Airlines' new fleet, and it is a brand new plane, and because of her luck, she lucked out. The seats were oversold for where she was, so they bumped her up to first class both ways. So, well, this isn't too bad. She arrives there and he goes to check in the Terrazito hotel. Come to find out, they've been recently remodeled. It was completely redone. A millionaire had bought it and dumped in all this money into making some of those beautiful rooms imaginable. And the guy looked down and he saw she was from Alaska and says, "We have never had anybody from Alaska stay at our hotel. We want to give you the presidential suite." So everything was just going great. And so finally it came time for her to go to the Vatican, and they went in, they had a tour, and they were going around, a little guy in robes leading them all around and showing them all the things. And she asked if, the Pope was going to be available or anything, if we would get to see the Pope. And he says, "Well, I'm not too sure." And a few minutes later, she got a tap on her shoulder, and she and her husband, and she says, "The Pope's not able to see everyone or anything, but occasionally he will take just a random tourist aside and talk to him, and he likes to do that. So he just spotted you two, and would you like to have a private audience with the Pope?" And she says, "Oh, this is awesome." So they talk to the Pope, and he asks questions, and he welcomes them to the Vatican, and they do a little prayer and everything. It's just this wonderful experience, and they got ready to go, and she thanked him, "Your Holiness," and he says, "There is one kind of thing, though." He says, "You're a beautiful lady, but you really could use a new hairdresser." I don't know if that really happened. Okay, point 3, the prosperous flow. Giving and receiving are not two separate activities. They are two sides of the same coin. Tiffany, our Core Council president, Leadership Council president, and I were talking this week, and she brought up this really great point, how this is giving and receiving are a balance. It's a balance between the two. If either one is restricted, it restricts the other. And I've shared with you before, I'm a great giver, not so good receiver. And so I work on being a better receiver. And the better receiver I become, the better giver I get to be. Open up to a givingness that is the equivalent of your desire. If you have big desires, then you need to open up to a givingness that matches it. Open up to enter into the flow, F-L-O-W. We're in a reciprocal relationship with the divine when we put ourselves in the F-L-O-W. And that F-L-O-W stands for, and I think we have a slide, in the flow. F, free, give freely. No strings attached, no conditions upon your giving, give freely. And I think that kind of goes along with that is that you don't give for recognition. I know that the Concert Association prints the names of the people in the back that are the donors and whatnot. And Ann and I make a donation, and we get our little name in there. But it occurs to me, we don't give to get our name in the book. We give because we think that it's really important to support the arts in Alaska, whether it be theater or whatever it is. But I don't think you want to give for recognition. You give freely. The second one is loving. Give it from a place of love and not from a place of requirement or begrudgingly give. Give it with an open heart. I think of Reverend Nancy and filling out her checks every month, paying her bills. Back in those days, we all wrote checks and you put it in the mail and it went, and she'd write out a check for, her Chugach bill, and she would just be so grateful that she had electricity to have lights so she could see at night. She'd write out her check to NSTAR and just be so thankful that she had a warm place to stay. And so when we give, we can give to that which gives to us, because it is a circulation. We can give lovingly. And thirdly is ongoing. And I had to stretch that one. I had to come up with an O. And the only one I could think of was occasionally. We don't want occasionally. No, not occasionally. Ongoing. You need to be consistent in our giving practices, not occasionally. And W, wise. Be wise about our giving. Give to that which supports you. Give to that which expands your beliefs of what you do. Be wise about your giving. Be a philanthropist for life. The greatest teachers have taught us that our most important job is to give back to spirit. And so I selected some quotes, and we'll go back to Michael Bernard Beckwith, also from our sacred reading today. What we do with all of our resources, talents, skills, money, is made sacred or profane by the consciousness which we use it. If we dedicate our life, resources, talents to spirit, then they are made sacred and become a love offering to life itself. Out of the Hebrew Scriptures, one man gives freely, yet grows all the richer. Another man withholds and suffers want. Deepak Chopra tells us, if you want joy, give joy to others. If you want love, learn to give love. If you want attention and appreciation, learn to give attention and appreciation. If you want material affluence, help others to become materially affluent. And finally, Lao Tzu says, he who obtains has little. He who scatters has much. You hear that many different people saying the same thing, kind of makes you wonder if maybe there's some truth to it. You get that much smoke, maybe there's fire. For myself personally, I want to give to that which awakens people. From my position, I get to see people awaken and expand almost every day. I get to see that spark of aha come on, whether it be for health issues or money and prosperity and abundance, or whether it's relationships. And when people can come to that place, it's a beautiful thing. And I invite you to step into that flow of prosperity. Here we talk about principles, certain principles, and then we have spiritual practices that go with those. And today we're talking about the principle is abundance. We live in an abundant universe. We can't even begin to count the galaxies, let alone the stars. A vastly abundant universe. And the practice is in sacred giving. And at this center, we practice what we preach. At the end of every month, we add up every gift, every donation, everything from every Sunday collection that we have, every auto tithe, everything. We take 10% of that and we send it to the home office. And then we take 5% of that and we distribute it within the greater Anchorage and Alaska community to help nonprofits and help other people whose mission is to accomplish a definite, a given fact. And today's quarterly meeting, I'm going to go over who we've given to this year and who our plans are for the recipients for the rest of the year. Okay, the conclusion. We're running out of time here. What I want you to take away today. First of all, awareness of the law of circulation. Number 2, a consciousness of abundance. And number 3, a desire to live in the flow. And I'll close with this quote from Ernest Holmes. We must be convinced that abundance is the natural state of the universe. To experience and accept abundance in our life, we must be convinced that as we conceive and believe, the universe handles the details. That when we step into that flow, the universe supports us. And so it is with an awareness, first of all, of that presence, that power, that infinite intelligence that we call God. Just simply recognize that that power, that presence, God, is indeed within each and every one of us at every moment. And as we come together as human beings, living this thing we call life, We carry with us all of the God stuff. We carry with us all of the traits of God. And we know that those qualities of God, those principles of the divine, are part of who we are. We do indeed live in an infinitely abundant universe. And so we too are infinitely sourced human beings. And we open ourselves up to all of the good of the universe. We know that we are indeed made from that very God stuff, and we know that that God stuff is perfect in every way. So each and every one of us is made in that image and likeness of perfection, that each of us has within our own DNA that which is perfect. And for those of us that are experiencing health challenges, we simply claim that perfection. We simply claim that which is already there. We recognize the perfection in one another. We recognize our inherent physical perfection. And we know that as beloved children of the Most High, we are children of God. We are children of God. And that we are made of the very love of God. And that as we interact with one another in all of the ways that human beings interact, we interact with love. And so we can just give thanks now. We can give thanks for our awareness of the power and the presence of God within ourselves, within each other, and within life itself. So we just give thanks, we let it go, we let it be, and so it is.